You see, as a parent, there are some things that we fear the most while parenting. And most time when we try as much as possible to do good parenting and something happens on the way, it just knocks us out of our faith or decide to shatter all our dreams. And most times when we are doing parenting, we pray for some certain things not to happen to our children. And sometimes these things are so that our children will not get used to drugs or not be addicted to drugs, and also our teen daughters should not get knocked out or got what we call teen pregnancy. And these are some of our fears as parents. And at the end of the day, my fear became my reality. Why am I saying this? Yes, my teen daughter got pregnant and it became devastating. You see, not getting pregnant would have been a different ball game if knowing who pregnated her was even there. She never spoke and she never told us anything. This was my predicament, and this was how I end up handling it. Please don't judge me because this is my story and I don't know what else to do than for me to go about this route. And sometimes when we pray that things don't happen. And when it happens, looking for the solution becomes a problem. And in these settings about African mentality, that when something happens to your children, the father will start blaming the mother, and every other person around will blame the mother that the mother was not actually there. This was my predicament. Welcome to another exciting episode with Mom of Things. If you are new to this channel, this is Mom of Things, and I am Omoye Awudu. I talk about parenting and also marriage. Please, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, drop a comment, and also give us a meaningful like. And you can share this video to anyone that you feel actually needs it because it's going to help a lot of parents. You see, when we talk about teenage pregnancy, most of us will keep saying, God forbid, it will never happen to me. It will never be my portion. I try to bring up my children well in a godly home. I try to talk about a lot of things to them so that they will actually understand what is actually happening out there. And at the end of the day, what comes out of it, the same thing you are trying to protect your daughter for, is actually what now finally happened. This was my story. You see, I got to know that my teen daughter was pregnant. She didn't even know that she was even actually pregnant. What happened? I noticed the way she was behaving. She was this agile type. All of a sudden, constant sleeping, forgetfulness, yes, sickness here and there. And one day I decided to ask her, my dear, when last did you see your period? And she was like, because she's someone that I noticed that don't like her seeing her period. So she just told me, I did it stop for about 2 months and I'm happy I'm not seeing it. I was like, and I was never told. She said she was so happy. So because of that, she really didn't want to disturb anybody. And I became scared. And the next thing I knew, I asked her, have you met anybody? Did you have sexual relationship with anybody? That was when my daughter kept quiet. And I felt my world drained. I decided we quickly rushed down to the nearby laboratory. We ran a test, and lo and behold, my daughter was pregnant. By the time we ran a scan, she was already 2 months gone. This is something that shattered my dream. You mean all the struggle, all the endless sleepless night, trying to make money for the family, all just went down the drain. Okay, you are just 14. What happened? Did anybody touch you? Who could have been the person that did it? My daughter was not answering. This was somebody that was telling me, I am happy that I'm not seeing my period. All of a sudden, my daughter is telling me that no, she's not even talking. She is not speaking. No matter what I did, I hit, I shouted, I scolded, she wasn't even replying. I decided to say, okay, maybe if I tell the dad, she was going to respond. Upon Obi telling the dad, she wasn't still talking, and I felt maybe the person threatened her that if she says something, something was going to happen. I even told her I was going to stand by her, that let nobody threaten her. Yet she wasn't even buying it. And the next thing I knew, the dad said, it's my fault that I was never there for my daughter. I felt pains. Yes, the reality of this African mentality that when something happens to your child, it becomes you, the mother that failed, that did not actually do your work well. That is why the child becomes like this. And I said no, that the little time I have apart from my job, I try as much as possible to be there for them. She had never told me anything. And one of the greatest mistake I made was not telling her about sex education. I felt she was not up to. I felt there was no need. Now, maybe when she has finished secondary school, she was about entering university. That's when I can start telling her about sex education, that who could take advantage of a young girl. And if I had known, maybe I would have taken my time to teach her, to let her know. But that was where I knew I failed as a mother, because if I have told her, maybe she would have known. Now I begged her, I told her, please just tell me anything happening, no matter the threatening, I am going to stand by you. Let me just know, were you RAPE? Were you forced? Who did this? Was it consensual? I wasn't getting reply. So I decided to say, okay, let's meet, tell friends and family, relations, if they could even talk, her closest friends, if she could open up. I decided to call. Nobody, no matter what you ask, she wasn't even talking. And it was now left for me to make my decisions. It's either to keep the pregnancy or to terminate the pregnancy. Now, we don't even know whether she was having a multiple sexual partner. That's why she was not even talking, because she doesn't know who actually did it. Or was she threatening? Or was she RAPE? That's why. And the person, after the person did it, the person is saying, if you talk, something is going to happen. I don't know. There was no method we did not do use for her to just talk. And yet she wasn't even speaking. She would just keep looking at us as if, what are you talking about? And we tried to tell her the consequences of teen pregnancy, that she will become a mother at this stage, and there are a lot of complications that will arise if she decides not to talk, so that we'll know where we are acting or we are battling it to. But yet she still did not respond. This becomes a trouble. And at the end of the day, people were not telling me, leave it, let her learn her lesson. See, she is not talking, she will understand what it means to give birth. Another group was like, no, you have to remove it because she's too young for you. What does she actually know about teenage pregnancy? Will she be able to go through it? What if there is complication during giving birth and all? So I began to ask, I began to make research. What could be the best? Now we don't even know who is responsible, who is the father of this child. That becomes a problem. If you have watched to this extent, please don't forget to subscribe and also drop a comment. This mother will actually be waiting for your advice. Although she has already done her own aspect, but she's saying we shouldn't blame her or we shouldn't condemn her. So at the end of the day, what did she do? She took the child and went and terminated the pregnancy. Yes, that was actually what she did. And she said, please don't blame me, because I know if she brings that child to the world and without us knowing who is responsible, that becomes another problem of its own. And she is just young, she just completed 14. What about if there is complication arising from the pregnancy? What will happen? Why should I use emotions? She said this was her decisions, and this was something it took her weeks to just know. And since it was still young as at that time, she decided to say, okay, let her just do it. And that was when she decided to say, okay, after she finished everything, she now started lecturing the child. She sat the child down and told her, these are what you did and it pains me. I try as much as possible to make sure you don't fall into this. At the end of the day, what came out of it? And you see what I did. I regretted my action. But you on your own, what really happened? It was after the pregnancy was terminated. That was when she finally opened her mouth to tell us who actually did it. And guess what? It was the least person we could ever believe that took advantage of this small girl and decided to do what she wanted to do. He decided to do something to her and threaten her that if anybody hears, it becomes a problem. And that was how she decided to keep quiet. I felt pity for the mother. She said, Mom of things, don't blame me. This was my action and I don't regret it. It's painful, but I am happy I did it. I decided to not be with her every step of the way about her life. Now, sex education is constant something I talk about every now and then, because if you make a mistake once, we understand. But when it now becomes the second time, that is where the world will ask you question. So I decided to take the bull by the horn and do what I felt it was right for me. And this was the mother's story when she was telling me. And this is to you, parents, that you feel that they are actually young without you knowing that a lot of them have already understood what is going on and they are being taken advantage of. Please, if you know you've not started talking about sex education, it is very important for you to start. They are not too young to know. And whenever I keep saying, whenever you are teaching your children, don't use acronym, use the right word so that they will understand. Because if you are using acronym and somebody else started using the right word, they will be conflicting and they will say, oh, my mommy is saying tata. And this one is saying something else. It's a different thing entirely. Meanwhile, they are saying the same thing. This is to you, parents, that I hope you learn and don't feel that they are actually too young. They are not actually young, because a lot of millions of parents, like this woman that shared her story, are out there. And I bet you don't think it did not happen. It actually happened and it's still happening. And I pray we don't experience it, because then you might be devastated. Have a beautiful day. And please, if you have not actually subscribed to Mom of Thing, please do so and give us a like. Have a nice day.